All right. What's up, everybody? My people in Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, all Staten Island, my homeborough, Brooklyn. Back at another video. This is going to be another entry into the Greatest Games Ever series. And this one's going to be on Super Bowl 34, which I've said this repeatedly on this channel. Super Bowl 34 and Super Bowl 38 are two of the most underrated Super Bowls of all time. Super Bowl 38, you can make the case, is the greatest Super Bowl of all time. Super Bowl 34 probably had one of the most dramatic endings in Super Bowl history. I mean, it was a great game. I've seen it on NFL Network when they replay it on, Throwback Thursday or whatever. The game was on YouTube for free. Go watch it. It was a great game. Two very good teams, which I'm about to give the background to the teams right now, starting with the NFC champion St. Louis Rams. Now, this is the Rams head coach, Dick Vermeil, coaching the Super Bowl 15 back in 1980. He was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He took the Eagles from worst to first, all the way to the Super Bowl where they lost to the Raiders. They got destroyed by the Raiders 27 to 10. And I believe after the 1982 season, Dick Vermeil stepped away from coaching. He stepped away for 15 years. And then in 1997, the St. Louis Rams called him to try to help them revive their franchise, take them from worst to first. In 1997, they gave him a couple of pieces. They had rookie fourth-year player Isaac Bruce, who went on to be, of course, a Hall of Famer. They had future Pro Bowl defensive tackle DeMarco Farr, future Pro Bowl pass rusher Kevin Carter. In the 1997 draft, they selected future Hall of Famer at left tackle Orlando Pace. Even though all that young talent, the Rams still struggled. They went 5-11 in 1997, Vermeil's first year, and then went 4-12 in 1998. So going into the 1999 season, Dick Vermeil was on the hot seat. And one thing is him and the entire Rams front office and coaching staff agreed on, they had to improve their offense. They did so by acquiring Washington Redskins quarterback Trent Green and hiring then Redskins quarterback coach Mike Martz to be their offensive coordinator. They drafted future Hall of Famer Torrey Holt at wide receiver out of North Carolina, and they traded for Pro Bowl running back Marshall Faulk. So they had their quarterback, they had their running back, they had their two stud receivers, they had the offensive line, they had a serviceable defense. So everything seemed all happy in St. Louis going into the 1999 season. Then in the preseason, against the San Diego Chargers, Rodney Harrison, notorious dirty player in the NFL at that time, went low on Trent Green, tore his ACL, and Trent Green was out for the season. And in a moment of frustration, Isaac Bruce slammed his helmet on the turf because everything seemed going well for the Rams, and all come crashing back down to earth. As DeMarco Farr stated in America's Game, the 1999 Rams, we were back to square one again. But little did the Rams know they had a future Hall of Famer at the backup quarterback position. A man who had been in the Arena Football League and had been working in a grocery store years prior, a man named Kurt Warner, who in the opening debut against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 1 in St. Louis threw 3 touchdowns against the young Ravens defense, and they defeated the Ravens 27 to 10. And the St. Louis Rams got rolling. They started out very hot, 6-0, including a victory over the San Francisco 49ers, the team that had dominated them for the better part of 20 years. This game was very emotional for Isaac Bruce, who had been with the Rams the longest of anybody. He'd been there since 1994 and had never beaten the 49ers. And Isaac Bruce, who had one of the best games of his career, got very emotional and was crying on the sideline, and Marshall Faulk had to console him because they finally defeated the 49ers for the first time in his career. So Isaac Bruce obviously was very emotional about it. Okay, they played their future Super Bowl opponent, the Tennessee Titans, in the regular season that year in Tennessee, in Old Adelphia Coliseum, and lost. But it's okay, the Rams would get their revenge. But anyway, the Rams finished the season at 13-3, the number 1 seed in the NFC, and Kurt Warner was named league MVP against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, mind you, the year before, in 1998, the Minnesota Vikings had went 15-1. It set the NFL record for points in the season, 556. Then a year later, the Rams dominated them in the playoffs. The Rams broke their record. They beat them 49-37. Isaac Bruce had another game of his career, and the Rams were on their way to the NFC Championship game, where they faced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that hard-nosed defense. The Rams won 11-6, very odd score, and the Rams were on their way to the Super Bowl for the first time in 20 years. They had previously been there in 1979, Super Bowl 14. Now to the Tennessee Titans. Give a background on them. Now, in the 1992 AFC wildcard game, when the Tennessee Titans, still known as the Houston Oilers, they blew a 35-3 lead to the Buffalo Bills in a game that went down in NFL lore as the comeback. The Bills came back from down 32 points, led by backup quarterback Frank Reich, Don Beebe, the wide receiver, and Andre Reed, the other Hall of Fame receiver. And the Buffalo Bills ended up victorious 41-38 in overtime. In 1993, the Houston Oilers started out 1-4, finished the season 12-4, and lost their first playoff game to Joe Montana and the Kansas City Chiefs. And the owner, Bud Adams, had threatened to blow up the Houston Oilers going into that season. And when they failed to win the Super Bowl, that's exactly what he did. Traded future Hall of Famer Warren Moon to the Vikings, and the Oilers came from first in that division to the worst. In 1994, they hired Jeff Fisher as head coach. In 1995, they drafted Steve Aaron McNair, R.I.P. In 1996, they drafted Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George. And after the 1996 season, Eddie George was Rookie of the Year, and the Oilers made their way to Tennessee. They're on their way to Tennessee with a young core, Steve McNair and Eddie George. In 1999, they changed their name to the Tennessee Titans, and they had they had a very great year in 1999. They went 13-3 and didn't win the division. How does that happen? A team goes 13-3 and they don't win the division. They were a wildcard team because the division champion were the Jacksonville Jaguars, who went 14-2. Little fun fact: the Jaguars' only losses that year were to the Tennessee Titans. So no, talk about foreshadowing for the AFC Championship game. But anyway, the Titans went 13-3. You know, they had Steve McNair, they had Eddie George, they had rookie Javon Curse, who set the rookie record for 14.5 sacks. They had big tight end, monster tight end Frank Wycheck. They had Derek Mason, and had Samari Rowe at cornerback. In the wild card game against the Buffalo Bills, you know, the Titans franchise, who had previously been known as the Houston Oilers, got their revenge on the Buffalo Bills when they defeated them in a game now known as the Music City Miracle, one of the most controversial plays and games in NFL history. The Titans were victorious, and they went on to face the number 2 seed Indianapolis Colts, led by second-year star Peyton Manning, who were also 13-3. And the Titans beat them. Eddie George ran all over the Colts. They set them up for a rematch with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You see Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, all those guys, and the Titans defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, in that week, leading up to the AFC Championship game, the Jacksonville Jaguars made a rap song called "Uh-Oh, Uh-Oh." You know, check it out on YouTube if you can find it on YouTube. It's a very catchy song, I must admit. And the Titans defeated the Jaguars 33-14 in Jacksonville, so the Titans were on their way to the Super Bowl, thus setting up our Super Bowl matchup. So the rematch from the regular season game, I believe this was in Week 7 in Philadelphia Coliseum. The NFC champion Rams against the AFC champion Tennessee Titans. And the game kind of, I won't say started out slow, but no team could reach the end zone. The Rams, the greatest show on turf Rams, settled for 3 field goals, and they were up 9-0 heading into halftime. Then the first play out of halftime, Kurt Warner hit rookie Torrey Holt for a touchdown. Just like that, the Rams were up 16-0. Then the Titans stormed back. Eddie George, who probably would have had the Super Bowl MVP had the Titans had won, rushed for a touchdown. The Titans tried to go for 2, failed. They rushed for another touchdown. Eddie George rushed for another touchdown, got in, and the Titans got in and kicked a field goal. And just like that, the game was tied 16-16. Then with Javon Curse dead in his face, Kurt Warner launched a rainbow to future Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce, who took it to the house. And just like that, the Rams were back in the lead 23-16. And let me tell you something. Had the Tennessee Titans won this game, the drive that the Titans had, the last drive of the game, would probably went down as one of the greatest drives in NFL history because Steve McNair was on one that day. Him or Eddie George could have got Super Bowl MVP had the Titans had won. I mean, this dude, Steve McNair, rest in peace. Guys, if you know who Steve McNair is, go check out his highlights. I might put a Steve McNair highlight that I watch all the time in the description. Check for that down below because Steve McNair was just a beast. He won, I might do a video on Steve McNair later. But and when Steve McNair was just converting, picking up first downs, the clock was winding down. And Steve McNair gave one of the most incredible plays in NFL history. He was almost sacked, but stayed up on his feet. You know, he's a big country boy, from Mississippi, 6'3". I don't know how much he weighed, probably like 220 or something. He was a big dude and was able to get away from DeMarco Farr and Kevin Carter and threw the pass to Kevin Dyson at the 6-yard line. And the game was tight. And then the Rams called timeout. And just like that, it was 6 seconds on the clock. The 6 seconds on the clock, the game on the line. The Titans at the 6-yard line. McNair dropped back, threw to Kevin Dyson. And Dyson got wrapped up by middle linebacker Mike Jones. And he was 1 yard short. No, he had flick of the wrist. And he flicked the wrist. Maybe NFL history changes. Maybe the Titans tie the game, go in overtime, and maybe win in overtime. This play went down in NFL history known as the tackle. And the Rams local broadcaster gave was one of the greatest calls in NFL history. St. Louis, the gateway to the West, is now the gateway to the best football team in the world. The St. Louis Rams, who a year ago were 4-12 and were laughing stock of the NFL, were now Super Bowl champions. Kurt Warner, who had been, stacking groceries in a grocery store in Iowa or wherever he was from, 2-3 years prior to this, was now NFL MVP and Super Bowl MVP. The last time a guy would be named regular season MVP and win the Super Bowl in the same season, by the way. Thus ending one of the greatest games and greatest Super Bowls of all time. But what do you guys think? Is this Super Bowl the greatest Super Bowl ever to you? Is it top 5? Is it top 10? Do you agree that it's underrated? I think it's underrated. It's kind of a tie between this one and Super Bowl 38 for me. But, you guys tell me what you think down below in the comment section. Click the like button, subscribe. Help a young brother go on YouTube. Turn on the notification bells. Make sure you stay subscribed. And I'm going to put that Steve McNair highlight reel in the description to this. All right? See you all. And that link to America's Game, the 1999 Rams.